Ta-da! Namaste, everyone. Christian Long, life enhancement consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this transformation Q&A Thursday. Before we begin, let us invoke. Place your hands on your heart. Be aware of your heart. Smile. Feel your heart expanding in all directions. Be aware of your crown. Feel your crown expanding in all directions. Be aware of your heart and your crown together. Feel the inner peace, inner bliss, inner stillness. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui, Lord Mahaguru Jmeling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Sarasvati, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing ministers, to our divine selves or higher souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power, for your divine help, guidance, and protection, for your soothing, healing energies. We thank you, Lord God. We thank you all with tremendous gratitude, respect, and love. So be it, and so it is. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Jerry. Well, welcome everyone. It's been a fun-filled day. I still have not had anything to eat, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I've just been working and working and working, which I'm super grateful for, not complaining, just stating what is. And I thought it was funny that as we were doing the invocation, my Airbnb host, Jerry, who's a baller, he was like, thank you. I think it's starting to influence him. He was just randomly saying thank you as we were doing the invocation. So we've had be grateful that you have such beautiful work. Yes. Thank you, Adriana, for the reminder. And how do I block you from any more comments and questions? So it's been very interesting here in Sarasota, Florida. We've had 2 baby monsoons. This is the time of the year. August is the time of the year for like weird weather. So we've had 2 baby monsoons in a row. And we lost right behind me, not behind this beautiful bookshelf and beautiful casing here, but in the yard, a transformer went down because 2 houses down, a neighbor was cutting branches, and one of the branches fell and ripped the whole power line down. And then, we had no power for about 8 or 9 hours. Food was good. AC was a little tough, but then around 1 o'clock in the morning, the utility company came, they fixed everything, and everything went back on. So that was grateful. But he told me of a time that it was not 9 days. Something happened with a hurricane in Sarasota, and he had no power for 9 days. And that was pretty aggressive. But what I like about Jerry is he's always trying to find a solution. So I was joking with him. I said, Jerry, what if the electricity is not on in the morning? How am I going to make coffee? And he goes, oh, no problem. And then he brings me out to the propane area and he goes, this is how you make coffee. And so he's already like problem solver. And I remember a real estate investor that I met who was a multimillionaire in his mid-50s, been doing real estate for about 30 years. And I said, any tips you could give a young real estate investor trying to make it happen? And he goes, yeah, recognize that there is a solution to every problem. And I didn't understand how powerful and potent that advice was at the time, but I've gone back to it year after year after year of like, if something isn't working, there's got to be a solution. Why? Because we are beings of, drum roll please, light. Beings of light. What does that mean? The ability to think, the ability to come up with solutions, versus being a victim to circumstances and thinking, there's nothing I can do. I'm powerless. Connected to what Adrian just said, always inner power though, right? So we are swimming in an ocean of prana, infinite ocean of prana at all times. But it's our awareness of that ocean that affects us. So when we are disempowered, we believe that we are cut off from God, cut off from the great ones. cut off from our spiritual teacher, cut off from the higher self. So our spiritual connection shrinks. It gets teeny tiny, right? That's a disempowered person. So when people point the finger, when people blame each other, blame others, blame the economy, blame this, blame that, they are vibrating at the level of disempowerment. It's not that they are disempowered, they're vibrating at the level of disempowerment versus I am that I am. I'm one with God, I'm one with all. Because if you understand that, you are empowered to work 10-hour, 15 hours, 16 hours, 20 hours, 24-hour days, right? Now, the physical body still has limitations because we're not at the level of a bodhisattva where we can remake our physical beingness, right? Like Lord Jesus was able to make the transfiguration. We're not there yet, right? We haven't developed the ability to create the rainbow body at will yet. We'll get there eventually, maybe a few more thousand lifetimes, okay? Which, think about how advanced Lord Jesus was. He was able to do that 2,000 years ago. Mankind in general couldn't even read or write, right? So the intellectual understanding of how to do those things was incomprehensible to the average ordinary person, just as it almost is now. And Lord Jesus was able to do it systematically 2,000 years ago. It's quite amazing. That's why he's an avatar, right? So going into today's questions, why is it important to feel your emotions to heal? It's a good question. Again, why is it important to feel your emotions to heal? Because the emotions are guides back to the higher soul. What does that mean? So when you're feeling sadness, depression, anger, fear, greed, some vibration in your emotional body that is not pleasant, it's an indicator to go back to the soul. Because incarnation after incarnation after incarnation, the emotional body is looking to be stimulated outside of itself. Meaning, when I find the right partner, that's going to make me happy. When I get that job, it's going to make me happy. When I get that, it's going to make me happy. I avoid that thing so I don't experience fear, awkwardness, uncomfortability. So negative emotions are always guiding one, if they're aware, back to the soul, right? Back to the soul. So if you're experiencing the vibration of fear in your emotional body, that's an indicator of, wait a minute, I am that I am. This fear is not who and what I am. It's simply a vibration within the emotional body. So that's really good to practice awareness. And here's the thing, most people, because they're so numb, don't even know what they're feeling. I was like that for many, many years. If you ask me the question, and I've done this with my mentor numerous times, and it was so, how do I put it? It was so foreign to her, right? Because she has a breadth of emotions that she feels deeply. It was so foreign to her when I explained it, she didn't even get it. Someone as empathic as her didn't understand it until I deeply, thoroughly, clearly explained it. I said, I don't feel the way you feel. My range of feelings is like this, right? So I don't have a lot of leeway. So some people will go from here to here. So an actor has a breadth of emotionality in their emotional body. That's why a lot of them live very chaotic lives, because they're so used to practicing swinging their emotional body that it gets to be a little bit too stretched out. Then you have people that lock their emotional bodies down and they don't allow themselves to feel anything. So they may not have what's the word? Big downside, but they also can't feel the upside. So there's not a lot of range in their emotional bodies. But in general, the reason we feel is to connect us back to the higher self, right? So we talk about lower intuition in the navel chakra, gut instinct. I feel this is a good investment. I feel this is a good partner, or I feel this is a bad investment, or I feel this is a bad investment. Being aware of that feeling will guide you appropriately, right? But again, the big takeaway from this question is your negative feelings are guiding you back to the higher soul. Why do they lock the emotional range? Because of trauma. Because of trauma. So basically, Master Choa says that people who have had trauma create, for lack of a better way of saying it, shields around the trauma to keep the person psychologically protected. My mentor has said to me several times, for some odd reason, the past several months, that she's amazed that I haven't killed myself numerous times over my life. Numerous times, because there's been so much trauma, and my body, my energy body has had to create so many shields to protect my psychology, because if I experienced that trauma in its full range, I would be brought to the point of insanity, which I can attest to at certain points in my life. That's why people kill themselves. The severity of the trauma is so intense in their emotional body, they snap, they lose it, right? So a protective mechanism is that they shrink their capacity to feel pain, but it also shrinks their capacity to feel pleasure, to feel joy, to feel happiness, which is foreign to people who have big emotional bodies. Someone who has a big emotional body can't relate to that. Just like someone who's very intelligent processes knowledge and has understanding that an ignorant, unintelligent person does not have. Like an ignorant person cannot perceive what it's like to be intelligent. They don't even know what it's like to be intelligent. How to unlock that? Through purification, through understanding, through awareness, by going into the darkness. So Master Choa talked about you have real fear and imaginary fear. And he says the entities and the elementals in the inner world are like paper mache. So you run at them, and as you run at them, you realize, aha, they're hollow, they're empty, there's no substance. It was my imagination. So that's why the Sphinx talks about courage, right? And courage is extraordinarily important, not just courage in the physical world, but courage in the inner world, right? So when people start doing their spiritual practices, they start seeing things in the inner world, they start feeling things in the inner world, they start having experiences in the inner world that makes them afraid. I know many people that have entirely stopped, adults who have entirely stopped their spiritual practice because of the things they've experienced in the inner world. They don't have the courage to go there. So their progress is halted. So you have to have courage, which is connected to what? Will. Super, super important. So that's what I would recommend. So as you unlock them, can you just acknowledge them and not feel it? Or do you have to feel the emotion to get rid of the trauma? No, you don't have to feel it. The thing is, this is a big conversation. So we have energy in the chakras. And the chakras don't just go to the stem. So you have the outer periphery of the chakra, you have the chakra webbing, then you have the stem of the chakra, and then you have a portal through the chakra, right? So you might be saying, I've been cleaning the chakra for 10 minutes and there's still stuff there. It's the chakra's clean, the chakra webbing is clean, but the person is karmically entitled to have energy of the seeds within the stem of the chakra or even the portal from the chakra to be cleaned. That's why you can keep cleaning a chakra for hours and stuff still comes out. Because who knows how many lifetimes, how much stuff is in the subconscious mind. Huge, right? So you can keep cleaning, cleaning, cleaning. So as you clean something, some of it comes out of the chakra, comes into the aura, and now you have awareness of it. If it's buried, how many people know what's buried deep inside of them? Very few people, right? That's why we don't know what our past lives are in general, because it's buried very deep within us. But as you clean, 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 those things start to come out. And all of a sudden, trauma that's been buried deep within, say, your solar plexus comes out to the surface. Now it's floating in the auric field. Now your conscious mind can sense the vibration of trauma. It's like, whoa, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. So if you start becoming reactive, what do you start doing again? Shielding it again. And then it goes back in. Versus be still, be aware, don't entangle yourself, get healing on it, get it removed, right? That's what talk therapy is, simply that. Talking, the person talks, they begin to develop a certain level of awareness, and then it starts floating out from the chakra. But if it's not dealt with and healed, the energy just goes right back into the chakra. That's why people stay in therapy for 5 or 10 years on the same issue. It's not resolved. They don't have the accelerating aspect of the energy of the soul. If you want to heal faster, use the energy of the soul, right? Okay, so acknowledge the feeling, but don't entangle yourself with the feeling. Aha, there's my anger. I am that I am. There's my fear. I am that I am. There's my sexual abuse, my sexual molestation, my sexual whatever. I am that I am. Extra healing after healing, second wave of released emotions. So it's actually very interesting. When you poke a hole in the dam of the chakra, a flood of prana will flow out. If it has not been thoroughly cleansed, even if it is thoroughly cleansed, there can still be some residual purging, right? So you remove the block preventing prana from flowing in and out of the chakra. And so some of that anger, trauma, fear, whatever's coming out, even after the healing. So the person will maybe still feel weird or off for a couple days, because it's like a dam that's spilling and spilling and spilling and spilling and spilling. So yeah, a second healing would be beneficial. That's why people that have severe trauma or addictions, you don't do one healing, keep their energy body open, and then go, I'll see you in a week. It's a couple healings per day, and you're shielding them throughout to keep the area clean energetically, to prevent reinfestation from entities and elementals within their own aura and their environment. What's the old saying? Birds of a feather. If you have addiction, the people you surround yourself with also have addictions. If you smoke cigarettes, most likely the people you associate with also smoke cigarettes. So they're going to constantly reinfest you. If you have poverty consciousness, you hang out with people that have poverty consciousness, you're all going to keep reinfesting each other with those thoughts, feelings, and actions. So be careful who you hang out with. Ideally, hang out with saints. If you guys can hang out with saints on a regular basis, I highly recommend it. Do whatever you can to hang out with the saints. Okay, so I hope we covered enough in that question. It's a big, big question that we can go down many different channels. Next question. Can you please elaborate divine light, love, and power in its manifestation spiritually, mentally, emotionally, etherically, and physically? Give us examples if possible. No, I can't cover all of that. In essence, you have light, love, and power from the soul, which materialize as the virtues, right? So light is accurate perception, correct expression, and honesty and non-lying. The love is loving kindness and non-injury, and generosity and non-stealing. And then power is constancy of aim and effort and non-laziness, right? And then the virtue that ties them all together in a balanced, healthy way is, drumroll please, moderation and non-excessiveness, okay? So each of your bodies has a ratio contained within them. So your mental body has a certain amount of light, certain amount of love, certain amount of power. Your emotional body, light, love, and power. Your etheric body, light, love, and power. Your physical body, light, love, and power. So if you look at your life, it'll give you an indicator of where you might be weak. So if you're like, I'm not the most intelligent person, what's missing is the light aspect within your mental body. If you are overweight, you're missing the will aspect in the physical body and partly the emotional body as well, because we're eating, people gain weight because of emotional eating, right? So there's lack of love in the emotional body and lack of will in the physical body, right? So it's like understanding. So what does that require? You looking at your life honestly, right? Looking at your life honestly, going, okay, my finances suck. All right, well, why do they suck? Are you not moderate with your finances? Are you not generous? What's lacking? Light, love, or power, right? And as Holy Master DK would say, all disease comes from lack of soul contact, meaning lack of one or all of the aspects of the soul in the different bodies. So as you practice the virtues, you do what? You get better at embodying light, love, and power. Okay? You get better at light, love, and power. So that's a whole conversation, but in a nutshell, that's what healing is. When you receive pranic healing, because I'm speaking specifically to pranic healers, when you receive pranic healing, we're removing the blockages, obstacles, and impediments to what? Light, love, and power, embodying that body, integrating into that body. And then what? You heal. So who heals you? It's not the healer. It's not the great ones. It's the soul. Your soul is what heals you. The healer is removing the blockages. The great ones are providing the energy. But it's the soul that heals. Okay. Next question. What is the blue pearl and its connection to the pineal gland? Okay, so we can only talk about this so much, but in pranic healing, in Arhatic yoga, there is a meditation. The general meditation that's open to the public is called meditation on the soul. In Arhatic yoga, there's a more advanced practice called meditation on the blue pearl. This is covered in greater detail in Grandmaster Chogo Koksui's book, Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul and Om Mani Padme Hum. Two different books. One is Achieve Oneness with the Higher Soul. It used to be called Meditations on the Soul, or Om Mani Padme Hum. Both cover the blue pearl. So the form of yoga that specializes in the blue pearl is called Raja Yoga. So in the center of your head, if you took a straight line from the tip of your right ear to the tip of your left ear and drew a straight line, then from the ajna to the occipital lobe and drew a straight line, the center point of that is where the pineal gland is located and where the blue pearl is located. The blue pearl is smaller than an atom. It's teeny weeny tiny, super, super tiny. During the time of Atlantis, it was the size of an eyeball because it was so developed within those souls. So you've heard the term indigo children, right? Their blue pearl, which is blue indigo, is so activated, it radiates throughout their aura. That's why they're called indigo children. That's why they're called indigo children. The term is thrown around a little bit too much because every parent over the past 20 years that has a kid goes, I must have an indigo child. Why? I don't know. Right? It doesn't mean you have an advanced child just because you had a child. Right? To have an advanced child, two advanced people need to come together. That's kind of how it works. Now, could an advanced soul choose an ordinary couple to incarnate through? Possibly. Possibly. But in general, advanced people come together and have more advanced children. So by meditating on the blue pearl, you strengthen your connection to your higher self. which we're not going to go into the technique because that's not what this is about. That's taught in the higher levels of pranic healing and Arhatic yoga. Okay. But meditating on the blue pearl is a form of yoga called Raja Yoga, which means king yoga, which is interesting. I actually met two devout Raja yogis, super chill people, which is one of the aspects. Very still, very calm, and very powerful. If you want to become a very willful person, if you don't have strong will built into your mental, emotional, etheric, and physical bodies, practicing Raja Yoga, you'll become more willful. You also might lose a lot of friends in the process. That's why you have to balance it out with love. So you have to be, as Grandmaster Chogo Koksui would say, an Arhatic yoga practitioner has an intelligent mind, a loving heart, and a powerful will. Light, love, and power. Then indigo children would be very willful, right? How many people, this is a clue by the way, how many people know parents that have teeny tiny 2 and 3-year-olds that don't listen to them even a little bit? Those children in general are more developed than their parents, because the less developed children were taught through severity. If you do this, you're going to be punished. Or if you don't do this, you're going to be punished, right? The carrot and the stick. If you do this and I like it, you get a treat, right? The carrot and the stick. Because they're operating from what? The solar plexus, the lower will. But the new children, the indigo children, are operating from here, which means what? If you give them understanding, they will follow. Because they're like, that makes sense. And they do it. So you don't have to hit them over the head to get them to do something. My son's very, spoiler alert, my son is a very advanced soul. Surprise, right? If you give him understanding, he's like, yeah, makes sense. And he does it. That's how you persuade them. You just give them the truth. You don't have to trick them, manipulate them, like go under their radar. You just explain to them, this is why we're doing it, and this is where it'll lead. Okay, that makes sense, because they're operating from here, not so much from the solar plexus. Okay, but if you have an underdeveloped parent raising an advanced child, their strategy is to be severe, to be threatening, to be manipulative, because that's how they were brought up. Doesn't work. I was super willful. Fought my mom, you have no idea. My whole life has been about fighting other people, right? And that's partly why my ajna got developed. But now it's more calm. My emotional body is calm, and my mind goes, okay, that makes sense. And then go, well, wait a minute. If I fight this person, it's going to lead to pain and suffering. So what's a better way of doing it, right? So it's even less solar plexus. Okay. So that's why, by the way, the pineal gland, right? If you listen to people who have taken DMT, right, which is the active ingredient for the ayahuasca herb or plant, if you listen to their experiences, they're connecting to the higher soul. It's super obvious, because DMT, the pineal gland produces that molecule. So when you take it, it gives you like a boost, as it were, to leave the body. And so if you listen to people's experiences on DMT, almost in every case, they're connecting to the higher soul. Now, here's the thing, it's not controlled. So you're not developing your training wheels and then going higher to operate in the higher plane, right? So you're just like shooting somebody up out of their body and then figure it out. And then they come back and they go, I just had the most amazing experience. But they don't understand what they were experiencing. But it plants the seed for them to go, because almost not everyone, but most people who have taken DMT, they have a spiritual experience that makes them look at the world in a way that they never imagined before. So it has some validity to it. Do I recommend people take DMT to evolve? Absolutely not. But it plants a seed. Next question. What's the difference between being selfish? I think it was written wrong. What's the difference between being selfish and having self-interest? Relatively easy question to answer. Selfishness in the solar plexus, self-interest, solar plexus. Selfishness is getting what you need, want, desire at the expense of another person. Self-interest is getting what you need, want, and desire in a sense that's harmonious with another person. Now, if you're going for a promotion and your coworker is going for a promotion, which is it? If you're standing on your merits, self-interest. If you're belittling them, putting them down, making them look like an idiot to their boss, selfishness. So what's corporate America? Right? Mostly selfishness. It's lack of virtue. It's lack of loving kindness and non-injury. Lack of generosity and non-stealing. It's a form of stealing. So basically, if you're going for the promotion, you want the promotion to come to you based on your merit and your ability to perform the higher job, right? Versus, I deserve the job because Susan's an idiot. See the difference? Well, why is Susan an idiot? Oh, because of all these reasons. So you're not planting good seeds. So there's nothing wrong with having a nice house, a nice car, a nice bank account, making millions of dollars, right? Nothing wrong with any of those things, of living a good life or a comfortable life, as Master would say. But is it at the expense of other people? Is it at the expense of your employees, right? Your vendors, your suppliers, your clients, your customers, right? Are you giving them a crappy product and charging exorbitant fees for it, right? So that's selfishness. And that shows up in many, many, many different ways. But in general, solar plexus. So someone that has a very big activated solar plexus and a teeny tiny heart, they're going to be selfish. Someone who has a big heart and a slightly smaller solar plexus, they're going to be self-interested. And those are the people you want to work with. And that's the person you want to be. Next question. Can I learn all my lessons in 1 year instead of 20 years? Well, that depends. That depends. I had a conversation with a client a couple of days ago. We've been working with each other for about 1.5 years. And I said, let me ask you a question. We've worked with each other for 1.5 years. We've covered a lot of ground. Do you think it would have been possible for us to spend, say, 10 hours with each other the first time we met? And would that have been enough? And she goes, no, absolutely not. I go, why? Everything that I've taught you, not my knowledge, but Master Chola's knowledge, everything that I've taught you over the past 1.5 years, I could have easily covered in 10 hours. Easily. Right? What's the factor? Right? What's the factor? Because isn't it just about knowledge? Give me the knowledge. Give me. Give me the answers. Transformation Q&A Thursday. Give me the answers. And I'll have everything I need. Is that true? It's not. The connection with others. Ah, that's one. Okay. That's fair. Connection with others. Even if we had 20 hours and I said, all right, these are your problems. Even a great teacher wouldn't give you 20 hours, but let's just say, here's 20 hours, levels of truth and understanding. Correct. Because you have to have awareness. In general, awareness cannot be rushed. Then you have to have understanding on the awareness. Then you have to practice to get feedback. And then you tweak and critique along the way. Then the person transforms, right? So I could give her the top of the top, the cream of the top, the highest, most profound wisdom known to man, and it wouldn't transform her that quickly. But people expect that. Just give me the answer. Doesn't work that way. So I think people spend way too much time on acquiring more and more knowledge, and they don't spend enough time practicing the little bit of knowledge they had. Because many years ago, great teachers in India would have a disciple train under them for 20 years and give them one technique, one, and they would become illuminated through that one technique. In pranic healing, we have dozens of techniques that, if applied regularly, will transform you as a soul. But we don't understand that because it's all we know. We've, as Master would say many, many times, you're spoiled. And 18 years later, I can agree with that. We're spoiled. Looking at other schools and other practitioners and hundreds of years ago, what people got, you can jump onto a Zoom call now and be taught by a master pranic healer, be healed by a master pranic healer, and you don't even have to leave your house. And you're like, must not be that valuable. But then if you hear about some yogi in India that you have to suffer and toil and torment yourself and do all these aesthetic things to get to, you're like, whoa, I achieved illumination, or it was totally worth it because the conductivity was built up. When people do 100,000 prostrations during a pilgrimage, what are they doing? They're increasing their conductivity and their receptivity each time. So when they do meet the teacher, bam, the energy goes in. No resistance. But if you're like, all right, let me log on to this meditation. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, really? She said that? I don't believe it. Okay. Do you understand? Lack of receptivity. So that's why people have to spend months or years before they make a transformation, because they have so much internal noise, especially in the Western world, especially in first world countries. That's why spirituality has a tendency to spread faster in third world countries. You could say, well, the people are less evolved. No, they're just more conductive. They have less things distracting them, pulling them, right? They have less things pulling them out. In first world countries, everything is pulling your attention and awareness outside of the self, right? I feel anxiousness. Let me grab my phone. I feel horny. Let me grab my phone. I feel this. Let me grab my phone. So everything is, we feel something. Going back to the first question, we feel something, and to alleviate that suffering, we go outside of ourselves. So we never go up. But in third world countries, they don't have that opportunity. So they're forced to go within so they can evolve faster. Right? I guarantee, well, yeah. I guarantee you, if I dropped you off in a third world country, took away all of your possessions, and said, do your practice, you would evolve super fast. That being said, as a householder, which we all are, meaning we live in the world and we have responsibilities, it's an opportunity for us to grow faster. But most people don't because they get distracted, right? So it's a catch-22. Now they have phones as well. That's true. Yeah. Third world countries now have phones as well. Same thing when they introduce fast food, right, into certain populations. And then weirdly enough, 5 years later, obesity was climbing, blood pressure, cholesterol levels were climbing. Weird, right? Okay. So no, you can't learn everything in one sitting. One retreat isn't going to do it. One meditation isn't going to do it. One healing isn't going to do it. But doing it consistently for 10, 20 years will do it. Okay. So it's not, people have this misunderstanding. Give me more knowledge, give me more knowledge, give me more knowledge. It's not that. It's application of the knowledge you currently have. What's the best way to market my business using spiritual tools? What's the best way to market my business using spiritual tools? It's a really good question. Could really go down a lot of. What's up with the questions lately? Okay. Pulling from one of my mentors who had a waiting list of 3 months to work with, I asked him the same question many, many years ago. I said, how do you market your business? He had no website. He barely had credit cards. He barely had business cards. And he never spent any money in advertising other than his business cards. I said, what's your secret? How do you have a waiting list so long? He says, easy. I said, well, what is it? He goes, I open my heart. That's it. Heart energy, when it radiates, it magnetizes and pulls people. So that's why Master Coach shares this with all the marketing materials that leave the Pranic Healing Center in California. They've all been consecrated and flooded with love. So when someone grabs a pamphlet, a physical pamphlet, they go to the mailbox and they grab an advertisement for Pranic Healing, it's impregnated with love. So as you pick it up, it activates your heart. And you're like, wow, I feel really good. I don't know, there's something about this flyer. There's something about this picture. There's something about this. I don't know. I'm interested. So as a business owner, everything you do should be impregnated with love, because it attracts people, it soothes people, it heals people, it makes people feel better, it transforms and transmutes their lower energies and vibrations, right? So you bless all your clients. You guys realize you get blessed all the time, right? Yes. I'm not the one doing the blessing, but I have the clear intention of, right? Because that helps you grow. It helps you evolve. Just like the teachers, the masters in pranic healing, as they grow and evolve, they pull up all the disciples. So using love as a spiritual tool is one of the best ways I know of growing a business. And funny enough, when you're coming from the solar plexus area, it has the solar plexus, it adds agitation into your business. If you're coming from the ajna, it has a tendency to divide. So people feel like they're not people. They feel I'm trying to word it correctly, like a cog in the wheel of your business, right? So when you send love, it attracts people. I've used this as an example before with Master Ko. He was able to get many people into class, right? He'd have 100 people in his basic pranic healing class years ago, and then nobody would come back. Nobody would go to the next level, advanced psychotherapy and beyond. And he asked Master Cho about this. He says, Master, why aren't people coming back? And he was scanning and he goes, the heart's not developed enough. That's all. So he was willful, right? Doing the work, making it happen, grinding it out. Isn't it funny they call it that? Grinding it out, which is what? Friction. Grinding it out. But it also creates friction, creates heat, and then what? You have a meltdown, you have a breakdown. The machine stops running. But if you have love, it soothes, it heals, it nurtures, it brings people in. It's super funny. A friend of mine was at a pranic healing lecture many, many years ago. This is maybe almost 20 years ago. And he was sitting in class. He's super ajna. He's like super ajna. He's a Ukrainian software guy, everything, like overly analytical to the next level, right? But he's really good at taking action. He's sitting in class, and the presenter's from Colombia, and she's just all over the place, loving, flowery. English is not her first language. She's just telling these stories, these tangents, just all over the place, because he was explaining this to me before, all over the place. And at the end of the class, he ends up walking up to her and he goes, I don't know what you just talked about for the past hour, but I want to sign up for it. Here's my card. Why? So people are always like, you got to be slick and you got to be persuasive and you got to be this. That is an aspect, fair. But long term, it's the love that keeps people in. Love is the glue. Love is the glue in your business, right? So if people don't feel love, they don't stick around. Simple as that. Okay. So that would be one of the best spiritual tools. I could give you many, but that would be one of the best spiritual tools I would recommend is putting love into your business, caring about your business, caring about your customers, about your employees, about Master Choa talks about it. Underpaying your employees is a form of stealing. Underpaying them. It's a function of stealing, and it's a lack of gratitude. It's scarcity. I can only pay them so much because, right? So, next question. What is Kundalini energy? Next question. What can so Kundalini energy is Kundalini energy comes from Mother Earth, and it goes up our spine. It becomes awakened within us, and then it upgrades our physical body so we can experience the divine. So Kundalini energy is a sensitizing agent. So if you have stress in your solar plexus, Kundalini makes it worse. If you have lots of love in your heart, Kundalini makes it better. It's a sensitizing agent. Everyone's Kundalini energy is awakened. The difference is the degree that it's awakened. Some people say, oh, my Kundalini got awakened or awakened. It always was. If not, you'd be dead because Kundalini animates you, right? It's basically spiritual energy from the higher soul and energy from Mother Earth coming together to keep you alive, to keep you animated. So when that's removed, you leave the body. So it's very, very important. This isn't the space for us to talk about it in detail, but it's very important. Your goal is to do your spiritual practices, purify yourself, bring down more divine energy, which awakens more and more Kundalini energy, which then rises up and awakening the latent tendencies within you, your ninja powers, whatever they are, right? So you become one with God and one with all. So Kundalini energy is very powerful. So there's a form of yoga called Kundalini yoga, which their sole focus is how do I awaken more Kundalini energy? Not so much about purification, just how do I awaken more? How do I open more? How do I have more Kundalini energy available to me? But if your vehicle is dirty and you awaken Kundalini energy prematurely without that purification, your life is going to be very, very difficult. So when I started my Arhatic yoga practice, I had a lot of purification that I had not done, quote unquote. So I would be sitting and doing my practice, and I would be burning, sweating profusely, sweat through my shirt, sweat through my shorts, my underwear. There'd be a pool, sometimes, not all times, there'd be a pool of sweat under my chair. And I would be burning, physically burning. And I was like, I'm evolving. I'm improving as a soul. This is awesome. Right? I hadn't purified. I should have spent more time purifying and then done Kundalini practices. Okay? So don't jump the gun into awakening more Kundalini. Work on purifying, and then as your Kundalini awakens, your life will be easier instead of more difficult. Adriana says, in Kundalini Yoga, they do a lot of physical purifications and part etheric. Yes, so they do it with the asanas, they do it with the bellows breathing or breath of fire, which doesn't, it has some purification because it's cleansing the solar plexus, but it's also it's stimulating kundalini. That's the problem with it. That's how a lot of people get kundalini syndrome, is by doing that breathing technique. So they haven't purified enough, and then they start going. The energy starts moving. It's too much. Okay? Because most of the practices, you do that for several minutes. That's a lot, right? Years ago, that technique worked. How do I say this correctly? Because of our modern times, we have more stress than the yogis did 100, 200 years ago. So those techniques were extraordinarily effective for the yogis that had less stress, less impurities, less inner noise. Now it's different. We need to do much, much, much more purification and cleansing before doing those practices. What can I eat to increase my energy levels? One of the things that Grandmaster Chogo Koksui recommends, two things that are very, very good for increasing your, actually three things. They're very, very good for increasing your energy level. Number one, royal jelly. 1 tablespoon of royal jelly per day is bright, bright, bright red prana. Bright, bright, bright red prana, which is good for the physical body, because the physical body uses up red prana because it's the lowest vibrational energy. Okay. Number two, ginseng. And I don't mean the baby ginseng that you get at Whole Foods for a pack of 12 for $8. I'm talking the OG wild American ginseng. Typically is grown in Wisconsin. And a container this size is about $100. That's the OG. You want to get it in a powder form and take about a teaspoon. Red prana. By the way, if you have Kundalini syndrome, you don't take red things. It makes it worse. So your vehicles have to be clean, your life has to be normalized, your body temperatures has to be normalized. Then you can take those. If you have trouble sleeping, you don't take ginseng. You don't take royal jelly. Right? This is for people that are ordinary people or live ordinary lives that want to increase their vitality. So royal jelly, ginseng, and very powerful. It has a greater cleansing effect. So if you have Kundalini, you could do this. If you have Kundalini syndrome, you could do this. Is spirulina. Master Cho would say it's sunlight in a bottle. So you take like a bottle like this, 32 ounces, and then you put
everything's good everywhere else.
What do I want to say? You want to put it in a tablespoon and mix it up. Cleansing effect. Super, super good. Sunlight in a bottle has a cleansing effect. Okay.
123.
What else? What should I do with the interesting question. So what should I do with all the conspiracy theories I hear about on social media? I think Adriana sent this one in. What should I do with all the conspiracy? What are you shaking your head for? Conspiracy theories I hear about on social media. Ignore them. Ignore them. Why? Okay, great. Let's say there's a government that's trying to take over the world. Fine. What are you going to do about it? Let's say there's frog people that try and take over the planet. What are you going to do about it? Let's say there is a underground pagan organization that's harvesting human organs on a mass scale. What are you going to do about it? At the end of the day, the most important thing is connecting to the higher soul. So no matter what's happening in our physical external world, you connect to the higher soul, then act accordingly. That's it. But if you're not connected to the higher soul and you spend your days, weeks, months, years inundating yourself with the physical world, You're missing the point. Does that mean we bury our heads in the sand? No. You change, you adapt, you adjust, etc. But you still connect and then act and then connect and then act and then connect and act, right? That's what's most important. Are some of these conspiracy theories true? Yes. Are some of them partially true? Yes. Are some of them completely and utterly false? Yes. It is what it is, right? So don't get lost in the conspiracy theory. Get lost in your higher soul. Okay? Yes, you can get lost in gossip. Yes, you can get lost in the next mass shooting in the United States. Yes, you can get lost in the next political unrest or voter fraud or this or that. Fine. But at the end of the day, are you connected to the I am? That's all that matters. But what if we all get sent to concentration camps? Okay, great. You're in a concentration camp. Are you connected to the I am? Because if you read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, he says clearly the people who had strong faith lived. The people who had little faith died. Don't you think those conditions were pretty severe and was a great opportunity to test your spiritual muscles? Of course. So at the end of the day, are you connected? At the end of the day, are you conductive? At the end of the day, are you receptive to the I am? That's all that matters. People go, well, it can't be that easy. Well, that's the practice. It's not easy. That's why most people are not connected. Okay? So erase the conspiracy theories or not, connect to the higher soul and act accordingly. And then last question. See, Adriana threw me off with that. I didn't know where to go. I'm starting to smell strange things after my spiritual practice and not sure what it means. Okay. So remember we talked about clairvoyance, yes? The ability to see the inner world. We talked about clairsentience, which is the ability to feel the inner world. Then we have clairaudience, which is the ability to hear the inner world. Now we're talking about the ability to smell the inner world. Okay? The ability to smell the inner world. So the ajna is connected to your sense of smell. So as you develop, as you become cleaner and more purified, certain abilities become heightened or even awakened, depending upon the person, right? So you can smell clean energy and smell dirty energy. Let me tell you, from my experience doing this work for a long time, dirty energy is super repulsive. You can smell sickness on people, and they might be completely fine physically because it hasn't materialized physically. So you can smell cancer before people have cancer. Am I saying this with everyone all the time? No. But you will develop the ability to smell diseased energy and to smell clean energy from people. I always know when people are sick before they do, with no hesitation, because I'll hug them, right? And I have a very sensitive smell. So I'm like, how are you feeling? Feel great. Why? Good. Just curious. No reason, whatever. What's going on in the game? And then a couple of days later, they're sick. Because the things, it energetic first, and then it materializes physically. So as healers, as we work on people and we're pulling out disease congested energies, they all have a smell to them. Most people don't smell because they're not sensitive enough. What is the sensitizing agent? Kundalini energy. So as more Kundalini energy goes up through your system, it awakens the different abilities. They're called siddhis or yogic abilities. right? So what does it mean? It just means you're becoming more sensitive. That's all. And it can become a problem, but if it is, hire me for healing and we can change it. I remember when I first developed the ability to scan in pranic healing, my palm chakra was activated. And I remember talking to my instructor and I said, does this thing ever turn off? It's so bothersome. I feel because you scan where your intention goes. So I would think of someone and my palm would go to them. I would hear somebody talking about something, a trauma, a pain, even a good story, and my palm chakra would tap into that. I'd be like, is this thing ever going to turn off? Ever? And she goes, you'll get it, you'll normalize. You'll get accustomed to it. And eventually I did. But in the beginning, everything, like someone would be talking to me and I'm tapping into what they're saying, but my palm is also tapping into what they're saying and is vibrating in my hand. It's like, uh-huh. Yeah. Can we not talk about this anymore? Can we talk about something like more fun, more happy? So I feel a different vibration in me, right? But this comes through practice, and very few schools have the tools and the understanding to help people with it. It's just like, oh, you're suffering from this, and this. Oh, sorry, it's just part of it. So there's no way to help them. And by the way, I missed a comment from our girl Adriana. Always got something to say. What would you recommend for modern Kundalini yoga practitioners? Lots of healing. Lots of healing. Because it allows their practice to, it allows them to accelerate their practice. Under a good Kundalini yoga instructor who has a lot of Shakti, who can awaken the Kundalini, if the person gets lots and lots of healing for a few months, and they maybe do some service, some tithing, and they're under the tutelage of a great teacher or even a senior teacher, they can make great progress. So purification for Kundalini practitioners. Beth says, mine used to really tingle while I was at church. It's much better now. Yeah, because what's at church? Divine energy pouring down, right? By the way, you don't want to live across from a church because people purge, right? The depending upon the level of development of the church goers, how long the church has been there, and other factors, there's a pillar of light. So when people enter the church, the congestion is, that's why people feel lighter after church. But that congestion can shoot into the surrounding houses. So it's not good to live across from a church or a cemetery. Adriana says, I feel those my whole body sometimes. I feel those my whole body. What's eating your whole body? We can't understand you, Adriana. We're going to have to. Who didn't block her? Where's my moderator in this? Okay, so so again, the spiritual path is very exciting. The healing path is very exciting. It's never ending. There's so much more that can be discussed, that can be explored. Clairvoyance in Spanish, clairvoyance, they call it exploring. I think that's the most adorable thing I've ever heard. So when they're looking or they're scanning in Spanish, it's called exploring, right? Which is accurate because you're exploring the inner world, what's happening, what's going on. But again, don't get distracted with your increased sensitivities. Don't get distracted by your heightened abilities, because at the end of the day, oneness, 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 oneness. Everything you're doing is pointing back to oneness with God, oneness with all. These abilities are nice, they're great, but they're just part of the process of evolving. Okay? Feel the energy of others. You want me to feel the energy of others? Oh, that's so funny. Adriana, can you stop confusing the group, please? This is being recorded. Okay, so I hope that helps. I'm super glad that you guys are on today, and I'll be posting this for the group today. No class for Big Daddy Long and Little Long. We're going jet skiing on Monday. That should be fun. Okay, so let us close. Any questions? Save them for next week. and I'm going to be doing Sundays catch up meditation tomorrow. And then I will not be available on Saturday. I will not be available on Sunday. I will be in the global Arhatic yoga retreat from sun up to sundown, pretty much ish, 9 or 10 hours for both days. And then we'll do the following Sunday meditation and healing sometime next week. Okay. So beware of the heart, beware of the crown, beware the heart and the crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to Grandmaster Cho Kuk Sui, Lord Mahaguru Jmeling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to Sarasvati, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing ministers, to the angels of awareness, understanding, wisdom, and inner transformation, to our divine selves or higher souls. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you for all of your great, great blessings, for your mercy and compassion. And thank you for helping us apply these teachings and tools and technologies into our day-to-day lives so we may become better people and better souls. We thank you with gratitude, respect, and love. So be it. Thank you. Side note, love this shirt. Oh, thanks, Beth. I'm trying to keep it real. I got a couple more under my sleeve. Wouldn't that be funny if I just pulled out an entirely different shirt from my sleeve? Great session. Yay, we got Adriana on today's session. It's exciting. She was willing to stay up. Wait a minute. And I don't know what's going to happen when I'm in Hawaii with the 6-hour time difference, which then Chrissy and I are going to argue about if it's 6 hours or if it's 8 hours or if it's 20 hours or if it's, you're welcome, Chrissy. All right, guys, lots of love to you. That was loud. I don't know what that was. Christian Long, life enhancement consultant, wishing you a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. Bye-bye.